Good afternoon, everybody. You already know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I'm going to tell you what it is. It is time for Nigeria at Noon. You know NAN with the award-winning author of Born at Dawn, Seasoned with Grace, Tempted to Touch, and Pursuing Your Passion in a Godly Fashion. Today we're doing some more writing talk. If you know an aspiring author, this is definitely for them. If you've written a couple of books and you've got it, down pat and you got your jam going, this is probably not for you. Maybe if you want a refresher, you've been away, then it might, do something for you. So if you know an aspiring author, on your way out, tag them, invite them, and share the video with them. Deciding if you're character driven or if it's going to be a plot driven book that you are working on. So now, for those of you who are nonfiction writers, if you ran away because you saw character-driven versus plot-driven, you think it's not for you, don't run away. Come back. If you know a nonfiction writer, tell them to come back and to stay, because even in their books, there is a plot. There is some action going on. There are stories that you're telling. Nonfiction writers still use elements of creative writing. And so you want to have decided, is the focus going to be on being plot driven or character driven? A really good book has elements of both, right? If it's just too plot heavy, too plot focused, right, there's something gets lost in the mix. And if it's too character, centered, that worked fine in like the 18th century, but
in the 21st century, people want a good piece and a good bit of action and a good bit of character development going on.
But you as an author probably have your own strengths and you have your own preference. You have what you love. Some of you as authors love fast-paced books. Like, shout it out. Let me know. If you're watching, you're tuning in, you're an author, you're an aspiring author, you're just getting started. Do you have a penchant for fast-paced books, or do you like books that are a little bit slower, more drawn out, and take their time with a character being developed, right? What do you prefer as a reader? What, floats your boat? Because part of what floats your boat is probably what is going to impact what you write, how you write, and how you think as a writer, more so than you realize, but it will have an impact on it. So you got to figure that out, how you do that. So think about it right now. Don't forget to share. You don't have to be shy to share. So don't forget to share the broadcast out. If you know an aspiring author, tag them, as I said. And so what are the hallmarks and how to recognize whether you've done that or you've incorporated it, or which one, what direction is your current project going in, and what direction do you really want to go in? So,
as obvious as it sounds, let's just cover it though, right? Plot driven, there's a huge focus on the action. There is a microscopic focus on the action. And character driven there's a focus on the character, their development, and also when you look at this, because either way there has to be a plot, and either way there has to be characters. Both of them have to exist. However, the focus is going to be on when you're character driven,
the choices that character makes, how they make those choices, how they've developed, right? And that character is going to be memorable, multi-dimensional. They're going to have layers, and there will be layers to their struggle. A plot-driven book, in a plot-driven book, there's something else different that's going to happen. The focus is not going to be on the how they make their decisions. That's not what the focus is going to be on. The focus is going to be on the results of their decisions, the impacts of their decisions. It's very cause and effect. And why do I say that nonfiction writers need to understand this as well? Because you are going to be developing a process in your book for us to change our lives. And so you're going to have to deal with what is causing the need for us to make a change. Why do we need to make a change at this particular point? What was the cause? We talked about this a little bit yesterday in your introduction. What caused you to come up with this particular strategy, this particular program, whatever you're outlaying? So when you're writing nonfiction, you're the character. You're the protagonist. You are the lead in that story, and you have to decide, are you going to focus on the events and the results of the events that have happened to you in your life, or how you came into this decision-making process and what your thinking looked like, and modeling more of that, or modeling and showing a lot of the disasters or lessons that led you to this point that you are at right now. But you have to be able to do one or the other, make a decision. A good book is going to have a great balance of both, for sure. Okay? So, and that's probably where a lot of authors get stuck. Sometimes it's really heavy on one side than the other side. And so, for example, Born at Dawn, I would say it's very, 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 very character driven. And the plot unfolds not rapidly. Not, there's action. When there's action, it's big action. It's never little action, right? There are never like minor things going on. There's always something major going on in that book. And the minor things, play out kind of separately and in the process of what's going on. Seasoned with Grace, I think, is one of the best balances that I've created of the two. Because you see the character, you see her thought process, and sometimes you see her thought process in hindsight. Like, why is she doing what she's doing? You don't get that, what influences her decision, until after the decision has been made. And so that's where you have a good blend of being plot-driven and character-driven, because the reasoning is going to be developed, and you want to be able to do that. And so start thinking about your characters. Start thinking about yourself. What's your thought process behind the decisions that you've made? If there are decisions you made that got you into some sticky situations, which is how you developed your, 10 ways to live right, 5 ways to, be strong, whatever your, book is about, whatever the theme is of your business, whatever your business message is, you want to be able to have that within your book. And you want to figure out, are you going to be, in your case, problem-driven or character-driven? Are you really going to take your people inside of your head, or are you going to really take them inside of the problem? And you may make that decision not only by understanding who you are as a writer, but also what's the outcome that you want them to have. Do you want them to be able to recognize this particular problem more easily, or do you want them to be able to have a toolkit to solve and resolve the issues that come out of this problem, or preventing the problem, right? That's another, option that a self-help book does, or a nonfiction book does. It shows you how to prevent a problem from occurring, right? So you can prevent a problem, you can respond to a problem, you can recognize the problem. So what is the goal of your book? What do you want it to do for your people, right? And so that's one of the things that we are going to cover in the publishing powwow. Here's the deal and here's the spiel. We are taking the trifecta program, which those of you not familiar with the trifecta, we start writing your book, we critique your book, we develop your marketing plan for your book, and we get you publishing like a pro. So we're going to cover, everything that you need to know to get your book out there, good quality, not, shim sham flim flam kind of stuff going on. We're going to make sure you're in bookstores. We are going to make sure that you know how to deliver and establish your author platform, talk about your book, and you are going to get a manuscript critique live. Everybody's going to get one. We're going to do 2 each week, plus you're going to get 1 hour with me. And anybody, there's a limited amount of seating. They're limited, very limited amount of seating, 14 seats only. Because in order for me to do what I do effectively, I cannot have more than 14 of you over the course of the 7 weeks. I can't, it would just not be fair. It wouldn't be fair. It would really only be something that would be satisfying me as opposed to satisfying you, because I would not be able to manage and give everybody effective feedback, directions, strategies, and look at everything holistically. I wouldn't be able to do it, and I'd be doing you a disservice, and I'd be doing myself a disservice, because I will have a headache, and I will let y'all know I have a headache. So now, if that's something that you're struggling with and you want to deal with, and you want to balance that, and you want to figure it out, and you want to look at your manuscript very closely right now, or you haven't even started and you know that the book is inside of you, it's burning, you've got an outline, you've had an outline since January 1st, and you were like, 2018 was going to be my year, woo, 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 but it's not, you're not doing anything with it. Let's change the game. You're going to be able to create and affect change in the life of more and more authors. Our story is so necessary. Your voice is so necessary. Your talent and your art is necessary, especially in these really crazy times. In these times of political turmoil, crazy, just weird stuff going on. The voice of the artist, the voice of the writer, the power of the writer, and the legacy that the writer is able to create, and what they can memorialize, what they can document, what they can reveal, and what you can heal. Because writing can be healing. One of the decisions that I want you to start thinking about is, will this book be character driven or plot driven? And so I will tell you that the next book that I'm releasing right now, Barry and Delilah, I have to refine that. I have to, during the editing process, really make a decision about what the focus is, because it's scanty. There are parts of a character-driven novel, and there are parts of a plot-driven novel right now. I think it's developing into a more character-driven novel, but even that is still scanty. However, why am I not worried about that and focused on that and revising like a beast right now? Because I'm not finished. A lot of you are not finished with your book because you're doing this dangerous, bad thing. There's no revising while writing. It's prohibited. Don't do it, because you'll never finish your book. So if you haven't started...
This is something for you to consider right now, right? Are you going to focus on the tension? Are you going to focus on cause and effect? Are you going to focus on the result of the choices that the character has made? Or are you going to focus on a character who is autonomous, a character who is the lead, and a character who is making...
Are you going to focus on a character who is autonomous, is in control of themselves, in control of their actions? They may not always make the right decisions. If they made the right decisions, we'd have no book, right? But in control of the decision-making process, has a process established in their head. They make decisions. You know, sometimes we make a lot of decisions, which is either, you know, fight or flight. Is this somebody who makes decisions because they are in survival mode? Or is this somebody who makes decisions because they're in defense mode? What's behind their decision-making process? That is something that you need to determine and figure out, right? Barry makes a lot of her decisions because she's in a survival mode. So have you figured out and have you determined, you know, where and what your character's whole framework and frame of being is? And in the pop-up publishing powwow, I will give you 10 questions that you need to have answered to really develop your character. 10 questions to develop your character. And you should answer this question. If you're a nonfiction writer, these are 10 questions you should answer for yourself about you, because you become the character in the story. When you're orchestrating, I don't know, my mouth didn't want to say that word. When you're orchestrating your story in your memoir, in your self-help book, because the self-help book still has to tell you, and you nonfiction writers who are refusing to be naked in front of people but want us to subscribe to your book and your program and believe in you, girl, bye. Boy, bye. You're going to have to open up and do some transparent stuff for us, because we can't subscribe to the notion that what you're going to do is going to create and affect change in our lives if you will not peel back the layers and be naked and be for real with us. You understand? But you're the character, and so you need to be able to answer these questions. And in the publishing powwow, you will get these 10 questions when we go over character development that you must answer and know about your character. Even if you're like, let's say you're a pantser, you're not a plotter, so you have not planned every single step that's going to happen in the book. You still need to know how that character would respond when stuff pops off. When stuff jumps off, you need to know how your character is going to respond. So you can write in a way that's true to their voice rather than in the way that you want it to be written out. You feel me? There's a big difference. Okay? And so that is going to impact what you're doing. So let's start thinking ahead and thinking about if we want to be character-driven, plot-driven. And if you recognize, there's nothing wrong with if you recognize in your book it's going one way versus the other and it's not the way you want it to go. That's what the editing and the revision process is for. It is for you to grow and refine the work and revision the work, because I think that when I'm done editing, my book is going to look totally different. So, thanks for joining me. Peace and blessing from the Most High God.